Okay, now the recording started. So guys, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take an instance interface. So basically, I would be covering the class. So basically, what I'll do is I'll try to cover up the inheritance and interface. How do we
Oh,
apply in? Hey, Jamsil. We just started now. So just talking about inheritance and interface. So how do we basically cover in real terms? So that I'm gonna cover now since I wouldn't make it up yesterday. And then we're gonna talk about types of for loops if possible, or we can connect with this again with SQL and SSL for tomorrow session. Um,
okay.
of course, what we have covered in the past, if you see, so we were able to talk about. Let's go to back to here. Um, so we were able to talk about. So what are the data types, variables? How do we define the constants, access modifiers? So what are the different types of access modifiers we have, and how do we write a class, constructors, and then methods? So in the methods, we have seen how do we do a return, how do we do a void. So basically, we don't return anything, and we've seen the syntax also. So the methods could be a static methods or non-static methods. And then we have seen about collections. So list set map we have done. So list again we see that it's a frequently used things is list, but we have to be sure about so we don't have any duplicates in the list, and so we know we've also set store some uniqueness. So map is a combination of key value pairs where the key is set and the values list. A value can be duplicate there, so that's the meaning of it. And also we have seen about the control statements. If else also sometimes have used for loops. Each for loops like for each loops also last class I've discussed. Traditional for loops also we have done through for cutting records. So for each loops when I used this in the last class to retrieve the records and display in a right format. Or basically how do you read a for loop and then um, I mean, how do you use a for each loop to read the list of records which flowed in? So I think that example we have used. And then now I'm talking about inheritance and interface. So why I wanted to talk elaborate onto the for each loops or more is because that is a more often things we use in the Salesforce. So that's written a specifically written types of for loops. Maybe it's a for each loop only. How do we apply the socket query inside the for loops? Inside in the sense I'm not putting inside a for loop, but how do we, how do we can give input to a for loop? So we'll come to this. There's interesting things to talk here. So when I want to talk about the circle queries, we will see about more about a syntax. Yeah, I want to talk about the syntax and keywords. How do we use it? Syntax and keywords. Otherwise, we would talk about um, how to query. So we say how to query from child to. So basically, we call it as traversing. How do you how to traverse from child to parent and parent to child? So two types of traversing we can do. All the records from a child, I'm just pulling up to the parent, or parent records from the child records. All I wanted to get the count. So this is a good example of a roll-up summary where we do. So parent want to understand all the child records count. So how many opportunities open? How much? What is the amount for each opportunity? And the roll-up of all the values we are putting into a parent. Similar to like that. So we would be doing some queries and seeing how it works. And child to parent is something that I wanted to go all the way to my parent and see what is the result it is. So this is the important things that we have to discuss in tomorrow's class. So we should be very good here because this is very important. And the third one is so circle functions would be there. So, like example, count, min, max. So and some. So these are things which is used by uh, generally circle functions are used in roll-up summary. You can see these are inbuilt used by the roll-up summary. What if the relationship doesn't exist with the roll-up summary? If they are lookup with the help of circle functions only, we have to do it. So they call aggregate functions, and with the help of them, we can achieve this roll-up summary for a lookup relationship. See, if it is roll-up summary, it is very simple. You have to go to a field and then create a new field, and then you try to roll up all the child records. What if the relationship is a lookup? So where we have to manually write the roll-up activity. How to do it? Why through program only we can achieve it. because you have to count all the child records, right? So we need to get if you say how many records are present, or how many, who is the maximum, who is the minimum if you want to present, or you want to sum of all the child records. So then use sum function. All these are treated as a functions. So we call this circle functions. So then after this we will be talking about SOSL. So till now it is all. So Q1. Why I'm saying now only it is because tomorrow it is an important things we have to discuss on this. So how do you apply the keywords based search? Hmm, which are the fields we would be searching? Which are the data type fields? So I would give syntax and examples on it. Okay. So these are upcoming things. So now in the inheritance and interface, what I will do is, so let's try to create a parent class today, and then a child class. So we'll try to extend the parent feature to a child class. So that is about inheritance. And for interface, so we would write a method with, it doesn't have any, sorry, we will write a class. I'm sorry, we will write a class, or basically we'll write an interface. So the method definitions, just like that, we would specify. So whichever the class that you implement in that class, so you have to write the, or you can call the method, and then you have to elaborate onto it. So interface, I'll tell you. So of course, interface have majority of examples in Salesforce. Like I said, advanced Apex, which is like having a synchronous process, a batch class or queuable class, all these are having an interface implementation. So that will be good examples of using it. I think when you come interface, so we have too many real-time examples. Like interface like batch classes uses it. Queuable class. So while we just get into here, we'll get to know. So why you wanted to implement something. If you see, these are all having interface classes. Okay, first let's understand about the inheritance and interface. So in that specifically wanted to get into inheritance. So this is very well-known things about for any Java programmer or any basic programmers. What is inheritance? If you know, I think it is very simple to say a parent class, or we are trying to reuse the properties of the parent class to a child class. So any other points you have, guys? So inheritance means it is something that we want to reuse the properties of the parent to child. So this is what I know. So do you have any other points?
Mm, I think for me it's structured. thing.
Then Jamsil there.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's do a quick thing. So far we have this. What I want to do is I wanted to create a new Visual Force Visual Studio Code so far. So I was working all onto the existing stuff. So let me create a new project. Control Shift P. Create a self-destined new project, and then um, standard project with template. So why I'm doing this is I just wanted to, what do you see? Oh, where it went off. Sorry for this. Let me close all of this. Hmm. So what I want to do is let me Control Shift P. I'm gonna create a new project. Create project with manifest. Standard project, and the project name is McDonald's. So you can give whatever you want. So MCD dev. Okay. So this is your project name. So I'm just giving the MCD dev. So it asks me where you wanted to create this. So let me go here. Salesforce GX. So I'm gonna put is learning. Hmm. So I'm choosing this particular folder. So where it goes creates a project there. I'm gonna click a new project there. So I got a new project here. So guys, the same thing you should have gotten. So you should have a package.xml and then you should have a manifest for sure. So manifest package.xml you'll have it. So in this we are trying to retrieve the component apex page, so triggers, definitions, apex classes, all that we have. So firstly, this is how I try to create a project. So Control Shift P, project name, and then standard project. You can give a project name. Project is created, and then followed by now we have to authorize this org. How do you authorize? You can have see if the moment you go here, no, it doesn't have. Look at this Control Shift P again. I'm doing it. So it is trying to come to this particular command line. So, but I wanted to authorize the org sfdx. Do you see this? So look at this. Why this doesn't come? I don't know. But I'm just like typing now. SFDX authorize an org. This is what we require. Click on it. So what it is meaning is we are trying to connect to our Salesforce org, particularly this org. I want to connect to this org. Till now, I think we were writing a class here and we're testing it. So today I'm going to create a class here and we want to see how it works. What happened? Control Shift P, authorize an org. So far it is working good. What happened? Yes, SFDX is there. Then why this guys are not working? So this is how it is. So I think my system is loading a little late. SFDX authorize an org if do. So it asks for login.production. I mean login.salesforce.com is the one dev org which you want. So click on them. So create here. So I would see MCD dev correct. So just this name I'm just giving it. MCD dev correct is the one which I'm giving the alias name. So this would run and it goes on to the login. So generally it fires to a browser. From the browser we have to authenticate them. So I don't know to which one it goes. Yeah, so let's come here. So I'll copy this since if I'm not logging too much here. So I'm taking that link to wherever I'm necessarily logged in. So basically I have to give username and a password. So that authorization will help us. So if you're doing first time, it asks you to allow you. So allow them because CLA wants to access your basic information and then you want to transfer, pull and push request, you do it, right? So here it says successfully authorized. So now we are good. So if you go back to the manifest and then you have seen somewhere else Apex classes, you don't have anything. What all we have to do is we have to go to this package.xml and then right click on them and say retrieve from source. So prior to this, what you have to notice here is look at this. There's a plug connection has been there saying for this MCD grid. That means we have been established the connections with our dev org to these VS
What is
code.
LCD dev credit? That's account name or
Which one? This one.
I don't know, the down connecting your MCD dev credit.
This is the authorization which I've been given. So control should be authorized and org I'm just given, right? I should give an alias name. So what is
Okay.
username? What is the password that I'm just wanted to have the connection? So that
Oh,
always will lie here.
oh, okay, got it.
So this is a
It's
project name given and this is alias for the credentials that you given.
oh, okay. Yes, okay.
So now when we click on always here, so we'll just change this to so whichever the credentials that you given, it comes here. So let's say tomorrow if you have different things, see I have so many credentials have been given. Admin at MCD, admin at Syncly. So based on the credentials, I would try to log into the system. These are alias for each and every org. But I'm just working on MCD dev. We have so many here, so we'll leave it about. We just focus on to the org which I've tied to this. I have always here, and so if you close this project and if you open a different project and that project you have already tied up this set of connections, only matching to that only these alias would open. So you not worry about it. If you have so many, so even see look at this. I have so many here. I'm not worrying about who is opening for whom. But these are automatically this guy has been set up because while creating the project, I'm setting up the organization authorization, right? So that way I'm setting dev create also create an alias for this. So what I have to do now is there's a package.xml. I have to retrieve and whether I clicked on it. I didn't think it. So retrieve from the source log. So this would bring me so far. I don't have any classes here, right? So this is something that we are trying to extract the original copy from this dev org. You agree? Extracting the original content from this dev org. In this dev org, we may have a couple of things. So I think I can get all the configurations that we already have done. So for this, I think you should have a package.xml should be bigger enough. Package.xml for a VS code. I think someone would have put the whole bunch. If you see this by default, so we have only minimal thing, right? Apex class, Apex comment, Apex page, and then hardly we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 components we have. Bradley Sales was not built with 7 components. It has a bunch of them. Let me see whether this package.xml has a whole content. For sure, someone would have this package XML. Package XML. See, like this one of the component that you put. This is for custom metadata specifically. I think they're asking to install the package. Okay, I'll give you tomorrow, no problem. So even our project will be there, but that has a recording, so it'll open the project code. So rather, I'll find out a way how the package.xml has it. Um, we've seen so many times. Many people have given. So package.xml, the whole code we have it. Someone given a sample. This is what I was expecting. Let's see. Manifest samples.php. Sorry, HTML. Let's see if I have here. See. This is how you try to get a object permissions, types. Um, Someone has a sharing rule. You wanted to get accounts of them. So look at this. You want keys, assignment rules. But look at this. This all we're not pulling it here. This is absolutely we're talking about. Hey, just get me the component of class, page, test to trigger. So no any configuration stuff has been brought up here, right? Yes, of course we can bring out configuration stuff if you have all of these items. Like say you want to bring the custom object something. Yes, we can give the object name and what type it is and what is the version of it. So doing this, you will get the respective account. I mean, respective custom objects. So what I mean, how that will help you out is you are trying to have the entire copy of your original dev org into your local VS Code. Is getting. So let's say this is org by you. From the UI perspective, you see that okay, I have so many objects, I have so many classes, and all the configuration whatever done, including the OWD sharing rules, groups, public groups like queues, assignment rules. So many things you would have written. All this you wanted to as a backup if you think yes, there's a whole bunch of package.xml we get it. So all that we have to replace this package XML to the whole bunch what we require, save it and then retrieve it. Then you will get a whole bunch here as a copy. So that is something that we are extracting the whole project or whole org into the VS Code. Does make sense? Yes, no.
So you're trying to extract, retrieve everything from the this one, right? If you run the
Currently, what I've done is the package.xml is trying to retrieve my the components which are there in the package.xml. Let's say here 7 components we have. So that's the
okay,
reason only 7 components will be retrieved. And this most of them are dev components. So if you wanted to bring some configuration standard components like say object or let's say fields, profiles, is of course if you give this type of type, it will bring them.
okay.
Instead of Apex company, you're gonna put profiles. Instead of Apex profile, you're gonna put object, custom objects, standard objects. So those will get all the values, all the components of that particular custom object to the local here.
So we go and modify the XML, and
Yeah.
that will take care of.
So I was just looking here now in the Google. So I get a full package. So there I will explain a bit by bit here. When you say types, so members you're saying account and custom object. So this way it would bring us the custom object. Sorry, this way it will bring us the stand object. Look at this. I'm gonna bring the only account object. Let's see. But this is a custom object. No, I'm not gonna bring that. Um, in the
Account is
types,
not a
yeah,
right.
yeah. Someone they would have created it as a name. They have it.
Okay.
So I'm gonna look at this. I'm gonna get all the custom object which I've created in this org. Member star I put. This way it tells about. I don't care how many custom object you have. So bring all of them. So let me save this and then get them only the custom object if I have so. So I'm gonna modify this. So like how a static resource has many you have or a class, how many classes you've written, we don't care. Look at this, how many classes we have. So many classes it brought it me. I didn't give any class specific name, but it has brought me here. Correct. So that indicates star. So bring all the classes we are saying. Getting here? Bring all the class. So that way it brought all the class here. So star indicates all. Like how select star from table like that you do, right? So star it just indicates all the components you can read of that particular Apex class type. So here what I'm gonna do is custom object I'm gonna do it. So I don't know how many custom objects in Salesforce for this particular org I have it. So this type I've had it right now. So let me save this and then I'm gonna retrieve from the manifest source or. So what happens is it tries to go and sit in this object section. Currently we don't have anything. So once I it loads and runs successfully, so we'll see object sections here. So meanwhile we'll see the class is something that I got it here. You can see all of the class nodes here. You see this? The same code, whatever I written, it got me here. So delete contact I have written and update contact I have written. Insert contact. So whatever I written, it not has been sent here. If I wanted to have something, okay, let's say I wanted to modify here, which may not be present here. I wanted to send them here. So last name, email, and then string. I want to have a phone. So phone is a new variable I'm just getting here. So here I'm writing modifying the con dot phone. And whether the contact object has the a phone field. So go to contact, customer contact. So something we have assistant phone, home phone, mobile phone. Yeah, phone number we have it. So there's a field called phone, and I'm gonna give the email which is coming here, phone. So I'm gonna save this. This is latestly modified here. So I think it has retrieved my all the object. I think so. Look at this. These are the custom objects which we had. It has brought me all these things, and you can see all of the fields also. Let's say if I just go to a staff object and I see there are fields. If you see, so this many staff fields we have. Like say date of joining, email, gender, name, qualification. We can see all of these properties. It's getting. So this object things which I pulled only the custom object. So that's the reason it's have underscore C. So under that you can go to their respective fields and you can see how many fields we have. So this is all about the fields and this is about the object definitions. Okay, what object main thing it can do? What are the functions it can have? So all this description they are given in the object permissions here. Object XML, method XML. Like each and every object will have their fields and then respective. If any list view is present, so they will also have list views and about the object they will have. What are the actions they have so far? I say edit view and any other list view search layout. What are the required field that they have to display? So what type of visibility mode they have? So all that they bring it here. So this is a component which I recently added to the package.xml, and that's how I can retrieve the objects here. So like this, each and every configuration steps that you can have, and whole ones that you can retrieve from the Salesforce also. So that means you are having an entire backup of your current org. It can be that way also. So this is benefits in terms of retrieving all the components from the dev. What if tomorrow if your dev someone is modified, but you have local copy of your original version, so which is helpful for your recovering the back to the normal things. So that way it helps out. So and again, if you have a code repositories, so if you have a version coding code repositories like say Git or something you have, so anytime you can go back to the previous version and you can upload the same back to the developer org. So how do I retrieve? Same thing you can deploy the source R. So whatever you have, everything components in the package.xml, the whole bunch it goes to the dev org. So that way, whatever it is there, it will replace it. In case you think that okay, this is not going good. So not always only the retrieval. So we can also deploy something you modify here. So that is an example which I'm giving here. So I modified the phone field and I will show the same class I'll open in the this is a server, right? So where I open the code this Contact management is the class which I open. So I have insert contact. I don't have any phone field here. So the phone field which I saved in my local. So this would not reflect in the Salesforce. I should deploy them. How to do? Deploy this to source org. I should tell. Only then it reaches to the back to Salesforce. Unless and until something that you're modifying at locally thing. So what is in the server that we have stored value if you see Apex class? Okay, this doesn't have the phone. Okay, the new incoming changes phone number we are getting in. So moment we have to close this and open, we'll see that the latest things has been pushed it here. It should say success message here. If any error message is there, it will throw back and saying that okay, I cannot do it. So it said me, okay. So I were able to push these components. So always when you push a component along with the metadata file only it will go. You cannot send though I just right clicked on I said deploy the to set source or so always the meta XML file only will go and help you out to deploy the changes. So this guy is the source path. Without this guy, you cannot make connections and try to deploy your code back to the Salesforce. So meta files are so important. So make sure do not delete anything here. So let's say you have bulk class. Okay, this I don't require. Don't delete like that. So it has a which type of version. Are you active or not? So what is the namespace where you hold? All that it has. So that way it's very important. Set successfully deployed. Let me come back and reopen them. So now you should see a phone filter which has been flooding. So earlier I didn't have phone. Now I have phone. So any question guys in terms of deploying the code or returning the code from a VS Code?
No, good. I think we need to practice it.
Yeah, it's like you have to create a project, you have to authorize an R, and then once you do it, you have to retrieve from the package.xml. All the components of whatever you there in the dev org would be residing now in your local VS Code. And there is something you modify, of course, that you expect that should go to back to the server, right? So you do what you do is deploy back to the source. So once you do that, is of course I can see the class in my server or in my developer org. But there's a good place where to quickly learn about things and then quickly test it out is developer console is pretty easy. So why the VS Code I was saying is how do you follow the procedures in terms of creating or in terms of retrieving it. Of course, we can also do the code development here only. So let's do that in the later stage. When we go to more about the advanced classes, I'll configure my PMD also. So it talks about what is the best practice, right? You have to write the code. So the code which I'm writing maybe sometimes maybe not having a best practice. So it'll tell me immediately saying that okay boss you're not writing a best practice. Then how do I achieve it? So all that let's see. So basically I have to do a Java version configuration. So let me do that and come back. But unless and until now, so I think we're good. Still, again, if you're writing a new Apex class, I'm going to create a new class. Let's say, I think here, new create Apex class. The Apex class name I'm going to give it as parent. mm, let's say, okay, contact parent class. I'm just giving contact object parent class. So where you want it to be, I want it in my default slash class sections only. So it's going to create me a class. So it created me a class. See, by default, often the a constructor has been created for us. It's zero param constructor. You may can have, you may cannot have. That's fine. But this guy is saying with public with sharing. So with sharing means what? Always run on to the user profile mode. If you are user, if you're sales rep, based on your profile, it will run through. If you don't specify anything here, it runs on a system mode. Or if you say without sharing you do, even that runs on system mode. Without sharing or you're not even mentioning them, is all runs on system mode. When you say specifically with sharing, so then this guy runs on the user profile mode. The user who logged in, based on his profile, these things would run on. If a user object level, a profile level, if doesn't have an access to account, it doesn't have an access to account. That's it. Because profile takes a precedence here. Okay. So what I wanted to show here is I want to know how do you write a parent class to identify a parent class in Salesforce. How what are things? you can say that is an inheritance class. This is a parent class. If this looks like in general classes, then how we can say that it's a parent class? So in Salesforce, for making a parent class, we need to have a keyword called as virtual. You have a public with sharing, we don't care. Without sharing, we don't care. Public, whatever the keyword sharing keyword followed by, you need to have a virtual as a keyword here. And then you have a class, and then you have a class name. So this could be small or big, whatever you wish. So because they are also have small here, so they are small. So I'm writing in the small only. Look at this. I should have a virtual keyword. You can mention them here and above. Um, you can identify the class or parent by just saying the keyword virtual present. So you can blindly believe that if this keyword of the particular class is having virtual, then they are a parent class. Someone is trying to do an inheritance of this particular class, you think. So I may not have a constructed deal here. So I just although I want some method to be implemented here. So what I would say is, so if you are trying to share your method, even the method should be a public. I mean, even that particular method should be a virtual keyword person method. So public virtual, you can have a static method, you can have a non-static method, anything stepped on you. So public virtual, you can have a static. Hmm. So what I was doing is I was writing, okay, before this. So if you want to write a static method, so by default it asks me, do you want a static method? So click on them. So it tries to build a, how do you say, a framework type of things to you. So private public, so you can have a public here. I don't want global and static void method name. So public static. So they basically helping out you to have a method definitions quickly present here. So but for me, it's a virtual keyword method. So I need to have a public. So virtual keyword should be present for me. So public virtual static void and the method name I could have past contacts. I'm writing past contact. So in this contact, I don't know whether you're trying to query a record and then keep it. So whenever you say past contact, so you're trying to send the results back to them. So it depends on that. So basically, why we are trying to do all this method is in order to reuse the properties of what do you say, a parent class. So sometimes it helped me to the same past contact I can overwrite and then do some existing stuff there. So what I want to do is I would write a contact. So should I have static as void? I can have a contact here basically. I don't want it to have a void method here because without returning what I would help in my child object, sorry, child class. Public virtual static contact is a return type. I'm having it. So I'm expecting return type is also a contact. Contact con is equal to select last name. Let's say I'm sending some limit one record I'm sending it. So this contact record I'm trying to return here. Guys getting? So this is a method which I've written. So I wanted to override this method and you reuse these properties of this past contact. So let's have this. I'm gonna deploy this to Salesforce. So let's get this class there and then quickly see some quick test there. So why I wanted to show you is this VS Code. So right click here, you can create a class.
So we cannot compile here and execute here.
Of course, yes, we can have, but we have to set up some debug log sessions and then you have to do it. Yeah, we can do that also, but it's not so easy as that what we do in developer console. You see this, please start a debug session to evaluate the expression. Mm, system. Something went wrong. Virtual methods cannot be static. Oh, sorry for that. So they're
So
saying,
what syncing up itself, it will compile and sync.
yeah.
Okay.
So, so these are new things that we virtual methods cannot be static. Either a simple void or a simple return type that you have, but you don't have a static methods there. Of course, this is trying to deploy a concept to your original org. More or less, this is trying to create a new class to your org. So such class is not present. So the moment you try to deploy successfully, so it will have such class name now. So go back to your dev org, and if you open so the class, I think still now it didn't bring. So let's now search this. Sorry for this. Go open resources. So maybe this is little dynamic. I'm just giving here the name. Hmm. So let me refresh this page. So let me open the name. Hmm. So basically, this particular the dev which is opening here, if a class is not present, then you have to reload the whole developer. I mean, by refreshing the page is enough. So whatever you have created there, it will come down here. So it's a new class, right? Absolutely, it's a new class which you created here, and which doesn't have in the visual, sorry, in the dev on the current session. So what I did is I just refreshed the page. So that way I got the class which we have created it. So
Shukant, I
open,
have a question.
yeah. So this is the class which I written there. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you go back to the Visual VS Code?
Okay, yeah.
So in this project structure, right? What is the entry point? What is the entry point class like more like controller part, right? How do we know which is the entry point? Like if we are compiling and building in Visual Studio itself, and we put a debugger point, what is the starting class it goes through?
No, we don't have anything called as a starting class or something like that.
Hmm.
It's
Okay.
all our independent classes. But if something that your method is calling someone, and you wanted to put an breakpoint there and see that what is the results coming there, yes, you can do it.
So what I'm telling is, if we are writing a REST API or anything, we have an endpoint from the
Yeah,
postman which we hit, and it starts where the control starts with the put, post, or delete method, right?
yeah, yeah.
So how does it work here like that?
No, no. So, so in what terms you're trying to know say this about? So this is something that whatever you written in the R, so that we're putting it here. So there's no any start and end point here. So we basically see for this page how the component would work. Let's say you are onto the account page.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just giving an example. So let's say you are on account page. So our trigger point would be on a load of this page, you wanted to get some sync of the records from the third party system. You getting? On the
Yeah.
load of this account page, I wanted to pull some values and default it here.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do that, yes, of course, I would do on the page load of this particular no particular page. So I would
Mm-hmm.
have a component in the background. So that is trying to pull or firstly try to hit to the third party system and get the relevant details and map to the Salesforce records. Yes, of course, that is the point I'm saying about it's a trigger point. Or you have buttons to do some action.
So let me put it in other words. So right now I only want to test this accounts component, right?
Yeah,
So when you're actually importing the code for your VS Code, you get all the classes.
yeah.
How do you only test one particular part?
See, so for every class which you write, we have a test class for each classes. So your
So
test
that
class
is
would
the only way we can test, only the test class.
only the test class. That is the point where we can test it. Now, let's say you are written a integration class, and you say
Mm-hmm.
that yes, of course, I want to do get pull, sorry, get post, put all these methods you have written in a class, but you want to test them. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
want to test them? Is you have to have a test class that will authenticate you. It'll try to create a mock type of a scenario. How your
Oh,
original class would come up with the result. The same thing, your mock classes will have results. So they are trying to test against your original class.
So basically, what comes, I think she's asking, there's a main class or something where it's like Java, it's a starting point, right?
right. Yeah.
So she's talking about there's any main class or something like that.
No, we don't have
Can
any starting point. So yes, I
yeah.
understand that the structure of a folders that would look like
Oh,
somewhere there's a main, and then under that you have a comp or um. So I heard that you have DO classes or other classes
Yeah,
for that.
DAO classes. Yeah, yeah.
So
That's
it'll all
that's the
subset of
land.
things. So here we don't have such things which says about okay, there's a class and there's all the child class. No, not we don't have like that. So I
Okay.
told you yesterday or in the previous class. So here database is not something is totally different. It is all our club. It's like a family here. So
Right. Right. That's what I understood.
so you quickly
Okay.
connect and then you go and doing a query. So that's
Oh,
how. So we don't split them writing a DO class. It depends on a project. If your architect is expecting something like how like a Java is doing, same way I
mm,
wanted it. Yes, of course you
mm,
can do it. It depends on all on the project. I said I'm just saying that way. Where you try to prepare all the data in one class and you want
okay.
to execute only the logic in one class and just simple method definitions in one class.
Mm,
So
okay.
that way, when doing it, you have too many things to follow up on one single logic to work on. So I'm saying that hey, I wanted to update an account if you same to update an account, why I want three classes here. So basically,
Yeah.
sales is trying to reduce you in terms of okay, one class also you can do a lot of the stuff. See, best practice that we try to create it. Sales was best practice is one class is more than enough. So make sure don't put too many logic onto the same class. Then you write an helper class separately. They're saying it.
Okay. Okay.
Maybe you wanted to update. So that is a bunch of lines of code you have. Then write a helper class saying that okay, account update helper class. So this is only for a specific update class logic. You want to write a separate class. So where you could try to call that particular class in the original class. So we'll do that examples. Yes, of course we would touch in advanced classes also. Of course we need to have a couple of helper methods and helper classes. So maybe in the
Mm,
trigger class we would write it. And we have to write the whole bunch of logic in a triggers for a helper class. So that's how we can process it. I mean, with the
I
same logic
think
also you can write.
I'll get more clarification when you start compiling and you're building the app in the VS Code. Then maybe I'll get little more clarity on what I'm asking.
Yeah, the more over here is we don't have anything called as build. So the moment you try to build, you don't see
Oh,
any results here.
anything actually.
It is all about the component specifically what we see in the UI directly here.
Okay.
So in general, so you have if in Java something that you have a component for UI purpose you've written, and then you have a background control logic you have. So
Yeah.
there all your MVC would be there in the your maybe the ID what do you call it? It could be Eclipse or something you have or
Right.
NetBeans something you have. So
Mm-hmm.
where UI also logic would have written there only, and the control also written, and then processing the records logic also written there. So it'll have all the
Right.
MVC there, and then you try
Right.
to build it. You see a UI and along with some results.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have such things here in the Salesforce. Who is the UI? You
Oh,
see directly. This guy is a UI. Salesforce UI is this one. Now, why we wanted to have this VS Code stuff is for development purpose. This making us more comfortable in terms of writing the what do you say, finite codes or writing the best practices codes, because you have some plugins to estimate your code whether it written is a legitimate code or it is having the best practice stuff. So all that checking it. So for this we have to have some external vendors to test against this code or what someone is writing here. Whereas
okay.
developer console, we don't have such things who test this code and what is the best practice that we write. Of course, this test it by a syntactical way or a compile way it just sees. For example, if I don't write a semicolon here and I save it, so it just gave me a compiler saying that hey boss, something is missing here. So that is what it understands. But it doesn't understand you're writing a best practice or not. If that level this developer console was advanced, so we would have not went to a base code at all.
Okay.
And moreover, always people would expect that, so they want to have a repository, so like a local copy should be present. So I want to extract my original dev org's copy in my local system, because anytime something goes on my original server or remote system, then at least my local copy should help them to replace that. So let's say today you have this contact parent class. Someone came and modified to 100 lines and he saved it. Whatever your 5 6 lines is there, no, it'll go off because he has overwritten. Let's say you have a copy like this particular class in your local system. At least you have this stuff here. And this, if you have pushed to a repository, still the code is safe. You can always get back to the old version when you pushed it. Getting so to
Oh,
all have this versioning and then kind of pushing to a repository. So this VS code is helping out for that stuff. Where with the help of this developer console, we just can write, test, all that we can do, but it doesn't help in pushing to a repository or it doesn't have any version controls. So all these things that which cannot be done in the VS code. If two people, you and me, both working on the same file, I opened this file and I've left with 7 line. I saved and I went on. So same class you opened and you written another 10 lines you think and you also saved it. But I didn't refresh this code yet. Again I'm starting working on another line. I'm writing starting here and I'm saving it. So again your code is also overwritten. Getting the point. So you and me working on the same time. Your argo no, this developer console is open and my developer console is open. So let's say I have 7 lines here. I saved it and I told you to modify them something for you. You also added 10 lines here. So you have 17 lines in your system, which in your UI, and you cancel it and you open some other record and working on something else. But for me, still, I didn't close this. With unknowingly, what I do is I just enter here and I write something here, and I click on save. It doesn't say that someone has modified. Please do a change. It tries to save it. So then, whatever the 7 lines you written, it'll all go to me. So
overall.
you didn't get that point.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
get it.
I got it.
So that is one type of disadvantage in the developer console. So any class is open and something I go and modify here. Someone also previously modified doesn't care. Since it is open, I am trying to modify and save it. It has overwritten their classes. So this won't happen in the what do you say? If you have a repository systems, of course we don't have any options directly to connect into the repository here. So we have to get them something like IDE like this, and this we have to initialize to a Git or to any other guy, so that we can push our code entirely to that repository. So that's how a version control also is maintained. Just getting. So this is absolutely for development. So there's no any conflicts or no any miss of code should be people should hearing about. When to work with developer console is something that open this code instantly, quickly fix it and save it and say cancel done. Or you wanted to try some snippets and execute and check how it working. So best try to write some quickly query it and check it best. And whatever the test class that you're running, you want to test them instantly how much percentage it covered. So they are best. You want to check quickly some logic, you're running here the moment the page loads, some components been holding here, and that is trying to call some logic. So that is putting a debug. I mean, what is running, what is not running. So all that you can check in these logs. So these are the best things for a developer console. Is getting it has its own advantage and its own disadvantage also. Okay, no worries. Um, Absolutely, we can work on the developer console unless and until two or more people are working in the same project. And often you try to hit the same classes, then we should be careful enough. Or the best thing is always you try to, the moment you come here, try to refresh this, so you will get a latest code of it. For example, look at this. So I didn't have anything here. So one more line I've added here. Virtual methods cannot be static. So I'm going to deploy this. But that particular line is not present here. So look at this. So the moment when it says successfully deployed, so what I do is I simply refresh this file. So maybe you have saved this record when you come often. So try to refresh this window. So someone has modified this class, they can see the latest line which has been present here. So refreshing is good enough, like you're trying to pull always from the Git. So you want to see the latest change like that it is. Hmm. So I'm gonna simply refresh this. So the same you would be there. I would not try to, if I just simply save here, it'll overwrite the previous version, whatever they deploy things. Okay, it is closed. Did I save or not? Oh my god, this is not saved. Still there's a dot. I have to save it. Now only to save. Just a minute. Is it audible? So I think I don't know after this I deployed or not. Mm, hmm. So virtual methods cannot be static. This is a line which I written. The moment I saved it and deployed, so I could see that line now. So refreshing the screen would bring me the latest, or close and then open will bring me the latest one. Okay, so this is all the tips to work with the VS Code, and then what is the developer console that we have to work with. So ideally, if you're getting a chance of working majority on the developer console, or this is all our comfort. What I can say, this is all our comfort. If I want to write something logic and quickly view that how it works, so developer console helps us. So VS Code, we need to have a proper system. You have to extract them. You should have folder. You should have corrections established correctly, and then your package XML is all holding. So then you are pushing the right code to the server. So all this matters, a proper thing. But here it seems like directly you're modifying the server. So you should be very careful when you do such things here in the developer console. So that's the difference you have. So there you play with the local and then you push that code here. Here directly you're modifying the server only. So you should be very cautious. Something you should not overwrite anyone's code. Guys getting module?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Karth, yeah.
Okay, so perfect. So now let's write an example. Already we have done with. So what I want to do is this is a parent class. Is of course whenever virtual keyword is present, their parent class. So let me write a new class here. Hmm, so the class name I would give it as contact child class. So what is our agenda is I want to reuse the properties of the parent class. So whenever I say this is child class, I need to have a keyword called as extends. How do I say this is class is a child class? So same control. You can identify the class. You can identify the class as child class by just seeing the keyword extends. Agree? For public class, class name extends is a keyword, and then I have a parent class name. So when you have extends keyword, that means you're trying to inherit the properties of your parent class. So when you can do it only when their class is holding a virtual keyword, and if you try to access their method and there should be virtual. So only then it happens. So the moment you save it, yes, it doesn't. I mean, it's saved without any error. So now what our thing here is you writing a class here, a method here. So I wanted to use this, reuse the properties, right? So I would do a keyword called as override. So public override, whatever the method name that you want to have. So here you can have void, you can have contact as a return type, anything that is possible that you can have it. Okay, so let me write override contact. I'm just giving contact again and again. So what method I can have? The method name which I have having here is you should have the same method name. So basically, because you're trying to override the method, right? So you should have the same method name. Instead of virtual, I'm just having the override there. That's it. Because you know about the inheritance, right? You should have the same name of the parent, so only then you can override them. Public virtual contact, pass contact. So if they are having return type as contact, you should have return type here. That is the meaning they're asking you. Um, mm, so let me write let's see what, and let me first print what is happening here. System.debug. I will say hello contact. So this hello contact is the child where I written a child. So what is your parent is doing? Whether I have a return type or not. So why it is giving me this type is because method return type clashes. Void versus contact. So you cannot have that also. Where your parent method is void and your child is not a void. Sorry, your parent method is having return type. Your child method is not having written type. So you should have exactly the word the same they are holding it. The signature also should be the same. Only then it works. So contact. mm this one. No. So let's say I'm raising the properties of this contact and returning the contact as the past percentage. Mm, so it doesn't exist. How do we using it? So calling a method this return something and this return I wanted to get it here. Uh, so let me see how that is helping us. Select. So here I'm trying to print the two contacts and let me display them. So what you're trying to get the two contacts. If I get two contacts, you're going to display the two contacts here, right? So let me see. Hmm. So we use a super keyword, right? So generally to go to the above classes. Mm, perfect. So when I do a super dot pass contact, and this would get me the parent class. So let me see whether I should able to query them or not. This is just reusing properties. Yeah, we are cool here. Let's look at this. So super dot pass contact. Of course, it is going to my parent class, and whatever you've written here, it tries to query and return back to her here when you call super dot contact. This method is returning what contact object, and that I've assigned here, and I'm trying to print the same here. So firstly, what I'm saying is hello contact. So let me put this first one. So let's say whenever I call you, hello contact, I'm in child. I'm in child class. So then instantly what you're doing is you're calling the parent method, whatever the method that you have wanted to override. So they are trying to pass you some record. Using this record, you can reuse something else. Okay, singles colon is missing here. Guys, you getting? Now how do we execute? Let's quickly check them. So guys, I have parent class and I have a child class. So basically I want to use the parent properties class, whatever you written there, I want to use it here. Now I didn't query anything here. So I'm just trying to process something here in the child record because I want to override the features of the past contact in the existing what we have. So simply calling this, I got the contact object. Now with the help of this contact object, I'm trying to process something you think. So I may have a if condition because I'm trying to reuse the property, right? So con dot last name. So if the contact dot last name holds is equal to something of the value which you wanted it, then you get inside. Or dot contains. So this is basically string, right? Okay. Kalpana. Okay. Guys, how do you know this contains came here? You have a string class that has as contains you have, right? So last name, contact dot last name is something like a string here of a data type as text. Hmm. This name we have no. Maybe this is a customer contact. So name we have no. So how do we query in the account? So how do we do no query in contact as a last name? So basically, what they feel there is there's a text type. Names are always a text type. If you see data type, they're always text. So that's the reason. So if it is a text, I can do contains because string class uh, they have the method called as contains. So you can pass a value instead of saying that contact dot last name double equals to some single quotes you put. I'm saying that contains Kalpana, contains
I-
ignore by case, like that. Couple of methods we have.
Is it not case sensitive, the Kalpana?
You can also have the string class in Apex. Okay, let me bring that. Of course, you can ignore the case also. You can do it. So a couple of the methods they have it. Whether you want to be case sensitive, whether you ignore the case, all that you can do it. So control F contains substring contains only means only the same string which you're expecting that only should be there. And sometimes you ignore the space also. You see equals means you're trying to check the whether the record is equal or not, but you're ignoring the case. Getting this? So I can use this also. So whereas con dot last name dot contains you're checking. So I'm saying that so contact dot last name equals is ignore cases. So what it indicates, last name should be equal to Kalpana, but you don't worry about the what do you say? Whether it is having caps or small, you don't worry about it. I'm just simply saying ignore cases. But I should see a contact which we have any record like that as Kalpana. Let me quickly check contact. So in the customer contact, I don't think. Let's see. Yeah, we have contacts here, but all of them has at least one, two, three, so on. So so for this record, let me remove this one so that it will match exact scenario. Okay. So Kalpana is matching. So either I can give small also there, doesn't mind. So in my class, I'm going to give it a small. Ignore case subset, right? You should figure and come back here. So then I'm saying system.debug. You have to process some logic here, you assume, but I'm saying logic goes whatever here. Mm, we are, I mean, you guys getting? So I'm trying to go to my parent and I'm trying to get the record. The record whichever you passed, which holds a Kalpana, so then we are good, or else this doesn't show us a success. Else we're gonna return saying that okay, system.debug is processed record doesn't have Kalpana. So my main motive was here I'm just putting random limit one. I know that limit one would never bring me Kalpana here. So there's something that you method written here. Here usable method what I'm trying to do is I'm just extending the feature of the contact and then coming down here. So while this method when I do it, I'm just calling my parent class method. So of course it goes because same methods, right? It goes to the parent and checks was there also we are returning one record. It assigned here. So that record if is equals to Kalpana I'm checking. If is yes, you success or else it is failure. Okay, so that way we are returning these results. Let's see. So quickly, so I don't want to go all the way to my parent class. I'm going to go to the child class itself. And of course, this is a non-static methods. Non-static method always we should have object instance. So cc dot. So what is the method name that we have? Pass contact. So the moment I do it, so it should return me some records. Okay, fine. Whatever the queried record. But however, we are trying to see the results if this if else trying to print out which one we are trying to process. You execute it. The first record itself is a Kalpana. So then it would have been gone be success stage, or else it will go to the else part. Hello, contact. I am in child class. So contact Jagdish has been brought up there. So that's the reason it didn't match with the Kalpana. So it process say that process record doesn't have a Kalpana. So now let's see the contact records, whatever we have. So first thing is hello contact, I'm in child class. Why it printed? Because you instantiated this contact class and you call this method. So this is the first one to execute. Unless and until you execute the parent method or their respective classes, only then it comes through. Or else it doesn't have an options to go run there because you never set to be using the reusable property. The moment you call super dot their class name, you're trying to start using the original class property. I mean, you're trying to inherit the features of parent. So then you have contact. So this particular record bring up me check this. So that is what it printed. Yes, right. And the last one here I had if else condition. If the name holds in Kalpana, please say success, else say it doesn't have Kalpana record. So this is how we are trying to use the reusable properties. You can do whatever the logic you wanted here. Try to process something, execute, and then this you are passing to your child. And again, child you can process something XYZ. A simple example just we are given. So at a moment of acquiring only, if you say that okay, I don't have limit here, I would say like operator, and then so like I would say percentage, and then you can have a keyword, whatever the chars that we pass. So let's say string. So so Kalpana is the name or the last name, whatever you wanted it. Select last name from contact where you should have where class, and then you say last name like you are expecting which name to be present. So give some query name, something that you're giving. If you're giving it's a confusion like last name everywhere. So let's keep this. So by this way, what it understands is whatever the name you're given, so it matches with contains. Okay, starts with Kalpana or ends with Kalpana or contains Kalpana. We don't care. We're gonna bring all the records. So that way, this will have a 10 records or 15 records within. Okay. So now let's save this. So your reusable method, which is holding, here it tries to brings up Kalpana. So let's say in real world applications, so where you have a string here, you pass dynamically. So you might have a UI like this. You may have a UI like this. So you may enter the last name or you may enter the email ID. So you say search. So you should get a list of records, right? So in that list of records, whether you're checking whether the Kalpana is there or not. So here's an example: search with email ID and delete it off. So it's a previous class session. So I'm saying the same last name search with. So your input, whatever you're giving, can come here and then it can flow directly here. If that same value record has a, it not cannot have thousands of record, it can have millions of record. Some name which you give should match with. So we're gonna bring the limited records. Maybe thereafter we're gonna show your records in a paginations. Go next. So this is getting a list of records here, and that we're saying that return. So in our child classes, of course, in one of the scenarios it should match with the Kalpana, and then it should say success. Of course, now what I'm trying to say is it says ignore case I'm saying. So Kalpana should match with the results whatever it came through. So let's see. Again, I'm trying to execute the child class. Execute. Hmm, very interesting thing. So yesterday I got some sample questions, and that indicated me maybe this can come in your admin exams. Which exception cannot be caught? Which exception cannot be caught if this thing? Only limit exceptions we cannot be caught in the exceptions, unlike query exceptions or null pointer exceptions or something, circle query exceptions. All this you can get it with something we call as limit exceptions. We can't be caught. So uncaught exceptions always in Salesforce are limit exceptions. So keep this in mind whenever in exams it comes. So for the latest exams, you may have that such questions. So one of the tests which I was taking, I saw that which exceptions are uncaught exceptions in Salesforce FC, only limit exceptions. I'll tell you what is limit exceptions here. So if we just go to the logs, you will see them. Hmm. So these are the limits, which says out of 101, out of 5010. So such limit exceptions would not be, uncaught exception. They are. You have to caught them properly and then you have to do it. But if you don't try to capture them, so they will try to execute and then collapse the program. So they are basically uncaught exceptions. And here one we got it right. So let's say now while I'm executing, I saw this list has more than one rows. This again a question I saw yesterday while executing them. So what it was is, suppose you are trying to deal with here as a one or more records, but why you are putting as one single record here? So this record is returning you 10 records. I said you right. You just give a kalpana like you when you do it. Of course, in the see when I say like kalpana, if I say how many records I have, like means what contains whether starts with kalpana or ends with kalpana or contains kalpana. So that scenario we have written a SQL query, and you can expect at least 10 records here. But why you are putting left hand side as con? It takes only single record. When you have such statements, do the program breaks or not? Where record is returning thousands of record, but you can put into only one contact record if you see. This is singleton object. So this will throw an error and it terminates the program right away there. See, it terminates the program right away there. It's very important. So whatever the LHS should be equal to RHS. So your LHS is having single record, your RHS is holding a list of records. So then it's a problem. So what you have to do is you have to process with the list. So this saved it. Now the same method who is using in your child class, even they also should have the same params. I mean, they also should have same type of signature, or else it will go crazy because you are trying to init the feature of parent method and they are list and you are not list, so it will go mad. So here, look at this. Mm, We can write as a contact list, whatever you want. And now, if you're having a contact list, there are thousands of record you're doing it, so you cannot say that con dot last name. We can't do this. Either we can print the contact list here, that's okay, but you can't get the last name. Why? Because I'm saying is contact list, it tries to say that only one record to be processed. If you do this, con dot last name equals to this, if you say it is trying to process only one record, but actually we're not processing with one record, we're processing with a bunch of record. So that way, so this is not possible. So what we can do, of course, we want to do a test of like this, you think. So only thing is we can help out with for loop. So your right hand side should be always with the list, and your left hand should be always with the singleton record because you are processing one after the other, right? It's a loop. So con colon. So here the super method is provided you a bunch of records that you assigned here because it is returning that if it is a void method, you need not to mention this at all. Since I have put in a return method, I'm just capturing them into a contact list. Or you don't want this directly wanted to call this method, that is also possible. Okay, so this is giving me a bunch of records. Correct, right? Super.pass contact will give me a return of this bunch of records. So I'm just getting them directly here. Okay. So now what I do with this? So this return con list would be a question because we don't have something like return con list. So in order to do that, again, you can assign the values. It's a crazy thing again. So two ways you can do. One is directly you can assign this, or else you have to reprocess them. Contact con new list. We are inside the for loop, right? Inside the for loop, I'm trying to add that list. So why I have to do this? If you see, so this I'll add only where if you found Kalpana, yes, I'll add to the list. If not found the Kalpana, then you are not returning the you are returning the null record here. Okay, let me explain again here what I've done. See, okay, return con, it's a con new list. Sorry for that. Why? Because so you have constructed a list and that list you are returning it. Of course, the method of return type is list contact, so you should return list contact. That's rule number one. And in the second place, what I did is I just was copying the super dot pass contact, whatever the values which is sent here. So this I was assigning into a contact list. What if you don't have to do this? Then this is the next step you have to do it. What you've done is directly you have called here. So this is getting a bunch of records, or else you could have sent this con list here also. And again, that's a bunch of records. Always we are sent by for each loop. So this is absolutely called as for each loop, where we send an array of records to one by one in a for loop. And this goes with the first record. In the first record itself, I found the name as Kalpana, then it's good enough. Or else it will traverse to tell the how many number of records we have. If that is there, it will say yes, or else it will say no. We don't have the contact person does not have a Kalpana, and we can print the name. If there doesn't have Kalpana, then what else name that you hold it? Good, right? If you don't have that, then what name that you hold? Here it says success. Of course, the Kalpana is found. Else, so I would try to display the contact list not found. However, so I'm gonna say save. Okay, so we have a good. So in the for loop, this is a for each loop. On the right hand side, always a bulk record should be there. On the left hand side, single record should be there, and both the data types should be same. So because your LHS and RHS should be of same data type, so you are passing the record each and every one record you're doing it, and then we're doing a if else logic checking here, and then we're doing process. So now the same thing I'm going to execute, but priorly what we're dealing with, which is a single record, now we're dealing with bulk records. So let me execute this. So it executed. You see, hello, I'm in a child class. That's the first line that we have to execute. Yes, yeah, good there. And then process records doesn't have Kalpana, so it is a Kalpana Chawla. Hearing the first record when it came here, so it went to the super contact. So all the bunch of records we got it here. So it comes to the first if statement. So instead of going to the if statement, we gone to the else statement. Why? Because the first record which we went in was having Kalpana Chawla. Of course, it is Kalpana Chawla, but not just simply Kalpana. So I'm just saying the last name should be equals to Kalpana. That's all I wanted it. I don't want contains. I want to say exactly last name is double equal to Kalpana. Yes, it says yes. Only then one time it printed success. The rest all the time they are else part. You see this? Doesn't have Kalpana. Doesn't have Kalpana. Doesn't have Kalpana. Because all we're expecting Kalpana, but you're having 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this. Only this record, the second record which processed has a Kalpana value exactly matches to that. Just getting? How did we take from the parent method and then we inherited and then we're processing with something on the child? Any questions here?
No, but
So if this class is not present in your VS Code, so what you do is maximum, you just go to these classes and then say retrieve from source or. So that way, all the Apex class, new classes, whichever you created there, it should come and lay down here. Because the child class which I created, I'm sure that I would not have. And moreover, this contact parent class also, it has got remodified. It is not passing any more single records. It is now passing bulk records. If you have version controls kept in, so you will have a single record, you have bulk records, all the class versions would be there. So that's the main issues. When you don't have a version controls or repositories, we don't have. So we may tend to lose the code logics. You see this? So now it has been modified, so it updated. So a single record to a list of contact records we got in here. And whatever the query that we're passing, it came here. So added to this, we have also have a child class as newly came in. So which is called contact parent. If you see, hmm. So if your original class is not brought up here, then the only thing is you have to go to package.xml. I think you have to retrieve it again. Whatever the new class which you written, right? If that is not there here, if you think, then the only way is go to package.xml and you have to retrieve them. Since I see here only my parent class got updated. So whatever existing class it got updated, but didn't bring me the new classes. So then package.xml is the only way to get them new classes. I think we're good. I'll show this and then we'll wind up the class. So tomorrow at maybe a 5 minutes simple duration will show about what is interface doing, how we are writing the syntax to implement them. But ideally, interface is the majority one we'll be seeing in advanced classes. We can explain there also. No issues with that. But we'll jump onto these SOQL queries, and it's very important to us to learn onto this side. So it'll take a day or two. So but you have to complete this. So then we jump onto the triggers, and we move to advanced development class. So there I can add the one visual class, visual first class enough. That's fine. But I wanted to continue the advanced class as an app. The moment we try to complete the circle and then trigger, so we have to jump into the advanced class. Is getting?
Yeah.
I think this is getting the whole bunch. To watch. Tushara, do you have any issues on to the VS Code? So if you have time, we can connect. So other
Yeah,
things. What about others, guys? So you're all working fine, right? So I think it has brought me the entire logic again. I think so. So the package.xml you cannot specifically do a pull of types of class. It can bring all. Or else you have to take off everything and then only have Apex class and then retrieve it. So then you can replace the class and save it. I mean the package XML I'm saying. So anyway, it got me contact child classes which I have written here. So we're good here. You're getting contact class is brought, child class, contact parent also we have updated. So I think we're good here. So any issues or any questions for this? So Murthy and Jamsil.
No,
Yeah,
no.
good.
Okay. So then we'll meet up tomorrow on just working on to the circle based things.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Take care. Yeah. So Jamsil will disconnect this and then again we'll connect. Maybe not have a recording session for that. It's okay.
okay, sure.
Or else we can have it's a VS Code issues, right? Yes, we can have it. So Murthy, if you
Yeah,
have your org is working fine, then it's okay. So we'll just check with her and what is happening. Then let's see. It's just debug. We're doing it. Tushar, I'm just
Yeah,
asking you to yeah,
I didn't try the arc at all. I mean, I whatever the one you are given, it's working now. I need to see the we can get the code or not and so.
yeah. You just have your own personal org. Pull the no.
Yeah,
How did you do
right.
package XML and write a
Sure.
class there in your dev console and then try to pull them, or you try to create a class in the VS Code and test to push them to your org and see whether it is like
Sure.
changes are there.
Yeah. If any
That's very
issues, I'll let you know.
yeah. That's very important. Yeah. Thank you. So yeah, Tushira, what I'll do is I'll try to give access to you as a host,
sure.
and then you go on. Um, Make host. So make host. Yes, I will have made host. So you have to share the screen.
Okay. So can you see?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the Visual Studio. I
Mhm.
mean, mine is Mac.
Okay.
Mm,
So now pre-request is you have Java.
no,
You don't know Java.
no, not
Ah,
in my. This is the new one, new laptop. I mean, my
mhm.
previous one has
Mhm.
Python. Everything. So this
So
is
first
like,
thing is pre-request is you should have Java. Okay. Then again, you should have Salesforce CLI configured. Do you have Salesforce CLI?
yeah, yeah. I did that. I mean, you sent something in chat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I did that.
So does
CLI,
does this CLI is installed to your local PC first? Like
yeah.
so whatever
This,
the your Mac supported format installation file, not the
if you
extension.
here it is, Salesforce CLI.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's good. It has. And yeah, so did you install this extension package?
Yeah, I did install.
Mm,
It's installed.
okay, perfect.
So so this is the document you told to refer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I'm trying to do so here, three steps, I'm not able to. So here, what is it asking? Type SFTX, right?
So now do one thing. So just go on to the first one, first icon. There's a file type you have. Yeah, click on
Okay.
that. Yeah, that's fine. So now Control Shift will do it. No, leave it with them. Control Shift to be.
Mm-hmm.
So create project with manifest. You have to do it. SFDX. No, not just a project with manifest you required. SFDX.
Oh,
So with manifest, yeah, third option. And you say standard project. Standard first one. And give the project name here. No, no, don't give a whole. So give your org name. So so write on dev something. Yeah. So it is asking to which area that this whole bunch has to store. So you create a separate folder called Salesforce VS Code. Under that you choose this. Yeah, create a folder and choose this. Yeah. Now under this your write on new what do you say project would be created for you. So this is the write on org of your complete things you have.
okay.
So now do a Control Shift P again. Check whether you have getting an authorized org. So SFDX colon authorize an org. Yeah, the fourth option. Choose login.salesforce production because you are using the second option. So give something right on cred. You just say
Right on.
yeah, it says creating credentials, right? So there's an alias way of creating it here. No, don't give that. Just give some this thing alias name.
Name,
Right on cred.
Ali.
Yeah,
Oh,
just say right on cred. CRED. All to have small version is better enough. So right.
oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, this is okay.
no problem. I'm just saying that having the small version that is pretty enough. Or else you should have a camel case notation followed. So now you give a username password yes. So login. So you have logged in here. Allow it. So you have logged in. Go back to your R. I mean to VS Code. Yeah, it runs successfully. Great, no?
Perfect.
So you are authorized now. So now go to manifest.xml. So go to manifest folder on the left side. Manifest. Yeah. After the
Yeah, yeah.
source app, yeah. Click on package.xml. So right click here.
Okay. Uh,
Just right click. Right click on your mouse. Yeah. Retrieve the source in the manifest. Or so you are trying to retrieve your all your components from your original dev or to the local like this making a copy here in the VS code.
okay. So one more little concern. Do you want me to install Java also?
So it is safer that no, maybe if you wanted to configure the Apex PMD, like whether you're writing a code which is having a proper thing or not. So they are doing a Java runtime thing.
Okay. Okay.
Right?
So
What it said me? Like go back. So cancel this. No results found. Okay, I think you don't have any class in your R. So that's the reason it didn't bring me.
okay.
So do one
I
thing.
mean,
So
minus it.
instead of types, there is a copy one of the types. Go in the package XML. Go in the package.xml. No, right
Oh,
in the right side, right side. So
okay.
copy your
Yeah.
type to types. The 4 lines you copy from line 7 to line 9, 10. Yeah, copy and then enter next. Paste there only. Next line. So instead of Apex component, write custom object.
Case sensitive.
Custom should be C should be captured and then object O should be captured. Yeah,
That's it,
custom
right?
object.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Now try to retrieve. So let's think that whether you're no, you didn't save it. Wait, hold on.
oh, sorry.
Save
So,
it. Control S for
yeah,
save. So always you see on the package.xml at the top you see no a circle.
a
So that
dot.
yeah that means that you not saved it. So
This
you
one?
have
Yeah.
yeah you have energy audit and then you have energy audit sheet. That is the two things that you created in this org as a custom object.
Oh, okay, okay. I understood now.
Now click
Okay.
on the Force app. Go back to the left. Force app and there is an objects you see. Come back to the objects. Yeah, click on them. So these are the custom objects you created so far.
Oh, okay.
And the name you given is web links.
What? This one? You're saying?
So that is energy audit object name. Yeah,
Yeah. You said where it blinks, right?
web links. That I
Oh,
think it's a field
web
certain.
link. Okay, okay, okay.
So if you have created a custom object, then whatever it did there, it will try to bring it here. So if you create a
Oh,
class there, if you retrieve the classes would be here. So package.xml is a good way to bring up all the components which you have in your dev or to the local.
perfect. Thank you so much. Sorry, I didn't know initially. I was just blindly following whatever it is here, trying to create a project without
Yeah,
it just said like create a project. It didn't
yeah.
say
So
like
project
manifest.
manifest. Yeah. So that's the wrong. I don't know. The
Yeah,
sales was missed
that's
to say that.
yeah.
Okay, good that
Okay,
you configured.
thank you.
So try to practice here and then get on. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, bye.